Hey folks, I hope you're here because you want to learn something. You might also be here because you saw one of my videos on social media recently around joining Google not that long ago, not knowing a whole lot about Google Cloud, and documenting my learning journey. Well, here's the first step in that process. We're going to do something today that's very foundational, kind of a step one, if you will, if you're getting into the world of cloud. We're going to spin up a virtual machine or a VM today in about 5 minutes, and I want to give you 2 different ways to do that, kind of 2 different learning paths or learning styles. So if you want to track with us on this journey, tune in for the next 4 minutes and come along with us. So you may be here and you've never actually spun up a virtual machine at all. If that applies to you, you're in great company. This is a super simple way to show you how to get started on the ground floor. So way number 1, if you want to learn about things in cloud, starting with the basics of how to spin up a virtual machine. So the first way is a more traditional learning method where if you like a class where you like to go through things kind of from start to finish, Qwiklabs has a great course around Google Cloud Essentials. I want to click into this so you can kind of see what a sample curriculum looks like. So this is about a 5-hour curriculum. So think about half a Saturday roughly without stressing too hard. That's broken up into a series of lessons and labs so you can kind of take things one step at a time. So the first part, which actually may seem very introductory, is something that I do recommend if you're new to cloud because it walks you through the console and kind of what resources look like, what roles and permissions look like. But it explains the console, which is really just like a remote control for the resources that you're going to manage in the cloud. And so this teaches you about the console, but then the next lesson, the lab around creating a virtual machine, is kind of closer to what we're talking about today. And so this is about true to form. It takes right around 40 minutes or so. So somewhere between a half hour and an hour. It's going to walk you through the process to create a virtual machine with a few different wrinkles around what that looks like. That's way number 1. Way number 2 is to actually do some things right from inside of the console. Now, I really like this method because this is what I call inline learning. And this is where you can actually go to the help icon in the console, click Start a Tutorial, and then you'll see right on the right-hand panel, you have the ability to go into these lessons. And what I like about this is that the material that you want to learn more about is right here so that you can kind of practice on the left-hand side and see the instructions on the right-hand side. So in this case, because I know that a virtual machine is in the compute engine, I click that tutorial section to try the compute engine. And then the simplest way to start is by creating a Linux virtual machine. Now we may do a Windows virtual machine in a later session. That's a little bit more complicated because connecting to that requires another piece of software tooling that we're not going to get into today. But in this case, when you go through the tutorial, it literally tells you step by step exactly what you need to do. And so as you follow these steps, starting with where in your project or where in your workspace are you going to deploy these resources. I've got a cloud therapy practice project. And so as I click next, this walks me through exactly what I need to do. Now I started off here. If I follow this along, it's telling me where I need to go. I go to the compute engine. I go to compute instances. I go to create an instance. And then there are 2 things that I need to be able to do. 1, I need to select my operating system, which will kind of be the software that runs on that virtual machine. Am I running Windows? Am I running Ubuntu? Am I running Debian? And so this is kind of the type of software that I'm running. So I changed the boot disk, and this allows me to pick Ubuntu, which is what's recommended in the tutorial. And I can select that. Then the other thing I need to do is to allow HTTP traffic so that I can connect to this particular instance. And so I do that. I click create. And then now my process is beginning to create a virtual machine. Now I'm going to stop here for the sake of time because this was just about giving you a little bit of a snack or an appetizer for what this looks like. But there are many other lessons we're going to go through and tutorials and demos that I'm going to mix up to show you what it looks like. Before you head out though, again, just quick reminder, virtual machine, very simple, foundational to cloud computing. This is how a lot of things run, where there's a software construct where you can actually run your programs and run your applications on a piece of a physical computer. You're running on a software version of that computer in the cloud. The console is a remote control, and I can follow these tutorials to walk me through how to apply these things from a laptop or from a computer wherever I may be. Now this instance is already started up. If I wanted to connect to it, You'll see that it even walks me through what that looks like on the next screen in terms of connecting to that by way of SSH. And so again, super simple. I even like that when you get to the end of the tutorial, it even tells you how to clean up the resources and gives you options to go deeper. Last thing I'll mention on our way out from this short video is that one of the premier events that happens in the entire cloud computing industry is actually taking place next week. If you'd like to learn more about stuff in the cloud, and specifically Google's flavor of how we want to add more value to your life, check out next week. October 12th through 14th, registration is free. You can design different learning paths based on concepts that you're interested in. And if this is the type of thing that you want to dive into, sign up next week. If this type of video that we talked about today is the type of thing you want to keep tracking with, leave some comments, tell me what you want to learn about, and be looking for another video every 1 to 2 weeks as we walk you through a kind of a bite-sized, appetizer-like chunk of how you can learn in the cloud. Take care. Happy learning. You can do this. This is not too intimidating.